Alright, and here is a video review I've been looking forward to doing for a couple of days now. I wanted to get it done yesterday, and then realized I had already packed my little review kit bag for TFCon, and forgot to, while I had all the toys with me, forgot to bring the camera with me. But here it is. It is the Keith's Fantasy Club E.A.V.I. metal Perceptor, for lack of a better term. Now, apparently we're going to be getting 3 different versions of this planned. There's a Kuma scope, Mugen scope, and the Surgeon. And one's going to be painted like the E.A.V.I. Magnificus. One's going to be painted like the Diaclone, what became Perceptor, and one will be painted in the standard red and blue and black Perceptor colors. This one is one of the scopes. Just because it has the red and blue Perceptor, the standard Perceptor, is going to have an actual mouth, like in the comics and cartoons, whereas this one's based on the toy. And I'll see if I can get it shown off here. The black detail is kind of hard to pick out, but you can see this one has the faceplate there on his head, and so and he does have eyes in there. It's kind of hard to see them, but he does have 2 individual eyes hiding there behind the mask. And again, it's just screwed onto the front part, screwed onto the back. It's 2 halves. Probably very easy to swap out the faceplates on the models. But a very nice, posable version of Perceptor. Again, this is a black test shot. It's all in black. The final versions will have paint and color. Again, if you know Magnificus, he's mostly black, but with like a bunch of silver detailing. It will look more colorful than this. Just to give you a quick size comparison, here he is with first edition Megatron. Here he is with the Fall of the Cybertron Swindle. And just real quick with Fall of Cybertron Grimlock. Just because I have him here, just to give you an idea. So he's a good solid deluxe size. A little skinnier than some, but a nice solid deluxe size figure. Nice bit of heft to him. He's got some metal bits in him. Looks like maybe this crossbar here is some metal. I think I'm feeling some down here in the feet. It just feels a little cooler, plastic. But a nice solid feeling figure. Very posable. He's got some nice ball joints here on the hips. His legs swivel right there under the hip joint. He's got double hinge knees. A ball joint foot, although again the posability is a little limited by the leg armor, and then a hinge there on the toe. He's got ball jointed wrists up in here, so his hands have a nice range of motion to them. He's got double jointed elbows, a joint here and then a joint down here. The shoulders are really nice because there's a hinge here in the shoulder, which gives him a lot of movement. And then you can see right here, there's an actual like a nice big ball joint there in the chest. I don't know how, again, all black, I don't know how that's showing up, but it just gives you a lot of range of motion here. Rotational motion in the shoulder. The head's on a ball joint, which gives it a lot of motion. Same thing over here. And then even the gun, or his scope or whatever, is attached by this whole armature for transformation. And it looks kind of like, I'm trying to get some brighter detail here. But it's set up kind of like War Machine's gun on that same type of support structure. You can swing it to either side if you wish. And you can also have it, if you want to, you can have it come across the body a little bit. There is I'll go ahead and pop this off. This ball joint is very small, and it does tend to pop out fairly easily. But again, because of such a thin connection, and it is held up. It is held up to some accidental excessive force, and hasn't stressed or cracked or anything at all. So it's a nice, solid little ball joint. But when it's that small, you'd rather have it pop out than snap. So yeah, it is a little easy to pop it out, but it's for the safety of the toy, and I get it. And if you tried to wrap it up or stick it, surround it with more plastic, it needs to have that full freedom of movement for all the transformation. So I get why they did it. A minor complaint that it pops out easily, because it is very necessary. But you can see it's on a little armature, kind of like War Machine's gun, if you pay attention to Iron Man at all, or the movies at least. And it does rotate right here as well. There's a little divot, so you get a lot of range of motion up here. But it is designed to just sit over his shoulder like his scope there. He does come with 2 sets of weapon. Well, I guess not 2 sets, but 2 styles of weapon. He comes with 2 hand pistols. And again, there's some nice detail molded into these. Very nice looking pistols. and that fit in his hands. And his hands are sculpted, the hole goes in at an angle. These are standard 5mm pegs. You can put them in other toys. Yeah, so you can hold his two pistols. Like I said, here's Megatron. And Megatron actually holds them a little easier because his hands have a little bit of an angle to them. But you can see that the peg doesn't go straight down. So when you put him in a hand, it looks okay there in Megatron's hand. It doesn't look too far off. But if you plug it into the hand of, say, this deluxe Megatron who has the straight-through pegs, you can see it angles up from the arm. Here's the line of the arm, and then the gun is angling out like that. So they are at an angle. They will fit 5mm peg holes, but the number of toys that are really going to get a decent-looking use out of them are limited, just due to the angle peg, which is not a big deal because they're made for this guy, and he can hold them just fine. He also comes with a long sniper rifle, again, some nice detail molded in there. And he can hold that as well. Get him in some nice sniper poses. Very long, very big, but it's a sniper rifle, so it's supposed to be. So we'll do a quick roundabout transformation. We'll go through all the modes and back up into robot for this one, just to show you how it all works. So obviously his main mode is the microscope. And basically you just want to bring this back here, and again, this will probably pop off. And again, this is a test shot, so some of these tolerances may be a little tighter and not as loose when it comes to the final product. I know I had some issues with the head here. This panel that his head is attached to was a little bit too wide when you flipped it in like this, and very hard to get out, but I just filed down the back side of this piece on the two edges, and now it flips out the way it should. But yeah, flip the head in, just like that, and then close this back up. And the arms, you string the arms out to the side, and I'm rotating them this way so you can see the dial here. You basically take this and you can kind of push the dial up while you pull on it. The dial's going to slide. You want to slide the forearm. You can see that. Slide the forearm over the hand, and now the dial ends up on this end of the slot. That's the mechanism that allows the arm to slide out. And the same over here. And there goes that scope again. It's actually been solid all day, and of course now that I go to review it's popping off like crazy. But yeah, so you bring these out, you fold them up, rotate the arm here, and then this little tab right here is going to peg into this little slot up here on the shoulder. This little tab here on the arm. So bring that up, use that double joint, bring it all the way up. Like that. And then just kind of rotate it back a little bit. I rotate it up and over like this. And same over here. Bring this up. Fine, we'll leave you down there for a minute. And then once that's done, up and over. Now the legs, you want to turn them around to the back, flip them up like this, and rotate them so the screws face up. The screws are obvious in this mode. Again, test shot, I don't know how many of these screws are going to be super visible in the final version. It may be all of them. They may match the metal. They may use darker screws that may match the metal a little better. It's not a huge deal breaker for me. It's a very nicely well put together toy. And again, I don't know what this might change in the final. So, and there's a tab here on the leg that is going to peg into a slot. And then you see that little tab hole there on the outer leg. You just bring that up like that, and have it sit like this. And the same on this side. Bring it around, match that peg hole up to the peg, snap it in, and you just bring them forward like this. And then you kind of dump them over. Now, that's not part of the transformation. Take this, and then you rotate the torso at the waist. I forgot to show the waist swivel, but he does indeed have a functional waist swivel there. I'll bring the legs like this. We're going to assume that this stayed on the whole time. And then once that's done, fold the foot back. You flip the little tray down, just like old school little microscope tray. And then the scope comes up, over, and down. And there you have his microscope mode. And it's not perfect. It does kind of look like a robot, but it's a nice little microscope mode. It's certainly just as good, if not a little better, than his original G1 microscope mode. Well, tapped focus on the wrong part and it went dim. I should have turned the flash on, but can't do that now. But yeah, just a nice little microscope mode there for looking at things, examining his subjects. If he's a bad guy, maybe, I don't know. But a neat little microscope mode. And then from there, you lift this up, you fold this up, you rotate again. Once again, you rotate at the waist. You take the arm. You want to leave them pegged together, but rotate it up and around and over like this. Once again, we're going to assume this stayed in place here. And then tilt this whole thing down, just like that, until these treads touch back here. Like that. And then this assembly, here's where you actually want to rotate it down here. Fold it down, and down like this. Rotate this back and around. And there you have his tank mode. And it's a neat little tank mode. The turret sits a little higher up than I would have thought, but that's okay, because it really is, for this little guy, it really is a neat little tank mode here. And again, you'll see more detail with a colored version. There we go. Focusing on that, brighten it up quite a bit, so you can see more of the detail on the tank there. But yeah, neat little assault tank there. I like it. I think this might be my favorite mode out of all of them, because it's just a neat little tank. And then to go back to robot mode, it's actually quite simple. Again, stay in there. Pull the legs out and around. Extend them down. And since we switch it back around, rotate them so the feet face forward, away from the turret. Flip the toes up. Turn them around. Bring the arms down. And back up a little bit here, so we can get them all in frame. Bring the arms down. Slide this back, the forearm back up to expose the hands. Real easy to do. Open up this hatch on the back. Flip his head back up. Close the hatch. Bring the whole armature over here. Rotate it around. Bring it up. Rotate the scope back around to the front. And there he is back in robot mode. So yeah, very, very cool. Very nice of Keith to send a sample of it. I really, really dig him. He's a really nicely proportioned, really neat figure. Very posable. And he's got the bicep swivel too. I forgot to mention earlier. So a lot of range of motion all over this figure. Just really, really nice. Really well put together. I can't wait for the full color versions. So yeah, we get a chance to pre-order him. I highly recommend doing it. He's very, very cool. So yeah, there's the Keith's Fantasy Club E.A.V.I. medal. This is the Perceptor version. Again, I think there's 3 versions: Akuma Scope, Mugen Scope, and the Surgeon are the 3 that I've seen advertised. But yeah, there is Keith's Fantasy Club version of Perceptor.